The day my ex-fiancée got engaged to the real heir. I wanted to drive my car straight through that wedding hall and take everyone down with me. But just as I was about to hit the gas, a crazy woman rushed out of nowhere and dropped a basket right in front of my car. The engine died. I sat there, frozen. Inside the basket was an abandoned baby girl. Half an hour later, cheerful music drifted from the wedding hall. I picked up the baby, turned my car around, and headed straight for the high-speed rail station. From that day on, the fake son of the Shang family vanished from Beijing, just like everyone wanted. I traveled 1,000 miles to Nanshire, adopted that abandoned child, and we lived together as father and daughter. I never contacted any of them again, until 4 years later, when they started showing up, one by one, right in front of me. 4 years later, I saw Sherwei again outside the kindergarten gate. I had just picked up Guoguo when a mother beside me suddenly leaned in. Guoguo's dad. Look at that person across the street. She looks like that singer. What's her name? I followed her gaze. Sherwei. The mother slapped her forehead. Right. Sherwei. I looked away. Don't know her. She seemed surprised. You don't listen to music? Sherwei. The hottest original singer these past few years. She's won so many awards. Oh, honestly, her face kind of resembles yours. You're both blessed with good looks. I shook my head with a faint smile and kept walking, holding Guoguo's hand. Shang Yan. Her voice came from behind me. I didn't respond. I just kept moving forward. Shang Yan. Guoguo looked up at me. Daddy, is that auntie calling you? Why does she call you Shang Yan? I shook my head and smiled. She's mistaken me for someone else. But when I reached the parking lot and was about to open my car door, someone grabbed my arm. I turned around. It was Sherwei, panting heavily. Shang Yan. You're still alive. Her words were as sharp and bitter as always. Maybe because she'd been running too fast. There was actually a faint redness around her eyes. I dropped Guoguo off at the neighbor's house. When I came back downstairs, Sherwei pursed her lips. How can you live in a dump like this? Where's your place? Let me go up and take a look. I shook my head. There's no need for that. 4 years ago, she was the one who said her only brother was Shiheng. She was also the one who said calling someone like me her brother only made her sick. When Shang Ci kicked me out of the Shang family, when Jiang Fu abandoned me, when the entire Beijing circle blacklisted me, when I had nowhere to go, I had thought about reaching out to her, my biological sister. I stood outside her company building for an entire night in a blizzard, almost frozen solid. But in the end, all I got from her was, her greatest wish was that I had never been born. If you had never been born, Brother Heng wouldn't have been switched at birth. He wouldn't have suffered so much. Brother? How ridiculous. The Shang family doesn't want you, and now you're using blood ties to guilt trip me. I would never acknowledge someone like you as my brother. That was when I realized, no matter how good I was to her, she would always hate me because of Shiheng. Now, she was still looking at me with that same judgmental gaze. Frowning. Where did that kid come from? You didn't steal her, did you? I was silent for a moment. She's my adopted daughter. She curled her lip. Why would you adopt a kid for no reason? Don't tell me it's because Jiang Fu can't have kids and likes daughters. So you deliberately found a girl, thinking that would win her back? You're such a love-struck idiot. How ridiculous. How utterly stupid. She's my child and mine alone. I interrupted her. I never planned to return to Beijing. I never planned to use this child to compete with your brother for Jiang Fu. You can rest assured. There's no need to be so aggressive. Just like you said back then, aside from blood ties, we're strangers. I have no interest in your life now, so please don't meddle in mine. She froze. If you have nothing else to say, you should leave. I turned around. Wait. She suddenly grabbed me. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. You. I frowned. What? Why did you leave back then? Anyway. I looked at her calmly. You were a pampered little rich kid. You couldn't do anything. Wasn't it just a few harsh words? What kind of tantrum was that? Running away from home? If I hadn't run into you, how much longer were you planning to live like this? And these past 4 years? She paused. How did you even survive? I watched the corners of her eyes redden again. Probably from anger. She was probably surprised I was still alive. And my being alive was a threat to Shiheng's happy life. How did I survive? Someone else traded their life for mine. But I didn't need to tell her that. The old Shang Yen was the Shang family's spoiled little son. But the current Song Yen no longer begged anyone for anything. Seeing that I wasn't speaking, she grew anxious. What's wrong with you? Why are you so slow now? Did that big earthquake in Nanchur a few years back rattle your brain? Running off to some godforsaken corner like this? You deserve to get caught in an earthquake. Just then, a neighbor passed by and greeted me. Xiao Song, haven't made dinner yet? I smiled. I'll get to it soon. Shi Wei froze. You should go now, I said. But she held on to me tightly. How did you change your surname? Song? Whose surname is that? It doesn't matter whose surname it is. I brushed her hand away, speaking each word clearly. What surname I take, how I live my life, Shi Wei. None of that concerns you. For Shi Wei was a celebrity. There was no way she'd make a scene with me in public. I went upstairs, picked up Guogua, and through the hallway window, I saw her still standing there frozen downstairs. She had never cared about me before. Her current unease was probably just because she wasn't used to my cold attitude. After all, 4 years ago, when I learned about her dream of becoming a musician, a talented but poor girl, I had exhausted almost all my connections in the Beijing circle just to get her a chance to perform on stage. Even her current management company, I was the one who found the best one for her. She was my biological sister. She had suffered so much. I wanted her to have a good life. But in the end, she twisted that wholehearted intention into me scheming, trying to use her to isolate Shi Heng and make him suffer. Daddy, is that auntie from today your family? I paused, then smiled and patted Guogua's head. No, sweetie, why would you think that? I was just guessing. You look alike. Family. Shang Xi's face suddenly appeared in my mind. I used to believe that no matter what, blood-related or not, Shang Xi would always be my big brother. But 4 years ago, when he helped Shi Heng, who had fallen down the stairs, his eyes were filled with fury as he looked at me. Shang Yen, you have disappointed me beyond words. From today onward, the Shang family has no place for you, and I no longer have a brother like you. My only brother is a Heng. I tugged at the hem of his pants, over and over, insisting that I hadn't pushed Shi Heng, but he kicked me away harshly, turned his back on me without a second glance, and carried Shi Heng off. I shook my head. That man is not part of father's family. She looked a little disappointed. I thought, besides uncle, father had other relatives. I chuckled and tapped her nose. Father has you and uncle. That's enough. But uncle is gone. She pouted. I really want to see him. I understood how she felt. But disappointment alone is still better than gaining something only to lose it. Depending on someone only to be torn away, that kind of heart-wrenching pain. I had been through it, and I didn't want my daughter to experience it again. I never expected, though, that the very next day, I would see Shang Xi. Guogua developed a fever in the middle of the night. I took her to the hospital. The viral infection was fierce, requiring hospitalization and an IV drip. I didn't sleep a wink all night. By early the next morning, her fever finally broke, but she was listless and weak. I carried her on my back and headed home, stopping by a street vendor to buy some meat and vegetables. After paying, the items were taken by a hand with distinct, elegant knuckles beside me. I froze. Looking up, through the hazy morning mist, I saw Shang Xi's face. Lack of sleep left my mind blank. I blurted out, "Big brother," before realizing that he had long forbidden me from calling him that. I couldn't afford to offend the Shang family. Back then, to punish me for bullying Shi Heng, a single word from Shang Xi had blacklisted me from the entire Beijing circle. Mr. Shang, I corrected myself immediately. I was trying to figure out why he had suddenly appeared in Nanchur, so I naturally missed the fleeting grimness on his face. "Let me carry that," he said softly. "No need." I reached for the bag in his hand, but my body wobbled, and Guogua whimpered on my back. "Don't push yourself. A yen." He grabbed my arm, stopping me from taking the bag. "Let me take you and the child home." A yen. It had been a long time since Shang Xi had called me that. Our parents had always been abroad. I was practically raised by Shang Xi. Back when he treated me like a real brother, he truly spoiled me. Someone once asked him if he wasn't afraid I'd cause trouble, given how much he indulged me. He just narrowed his eyes and said, "So what if he causes trouble? He's the young master of the Shang family. He's my brother. If he wants to cause trouble, let him. Even if it's the biggest mess imaginable, I'll have his back." But then Shiheng returned to the Shang family. At first, Shang Ci still told me I would always be his brother. But when faced with Shiheng's endless provocations, he always told me to endure. He's suffered a lot. Ayan, give in to him, he would say. We have to make it up to Shiheng. I didn't want to make things difficult for him. He had been my big brother for over 20 years. I wanted him to be happy. So I gave in. I endured. Again and again. It wasn't until he unconditionally believed Shiheng's frame up against me that I finally understood. I had seen him as my brother, but he had long stopped seeing me as his. And when he personally pushed me into the mud, making me a target for everyone's scorn, I finally realized how foolish I had been. The whole ride was silent. It had been so long since I'd been in a luxury car like a Maybach that I felt uncomfortable. I just curled up in the corner, holding Guagua, trying to figure out why Shang Ci was here. Had Shi Wei told him? Was he afraid I would hurt Shiheng? So he rushed over overnight to check. I didn't know. I couldn't figure it out. My head was pounding. I held Guagua tighter, completely oblivious to the longing in his eyes as he looked at me. Again, I looked up. There were so many more wrinkles around his eyes now. 4 years ago, we all thought I was dead. I know, I interrupted. Honestly, you can just pretend I am. I have no intention of competing with Shiheng anymore. Everything was always his anyway. Returning it to its rightful owner isn't a bad thing. There's no need for you to be nervous or on guard, and no need to come all this way to confirm. I just want to live a stable life with my daughter now. Oh, and my daughter will only ever stay with me. She will never go to Jiangfu. I swear on my life. I will never use her to sabotage Shiheng and Jiangfu's relationship. You can rest assured. I looked at him and repeated. You really can rest assured. He froze. I'm not. Then are you afraid I'll use the Shang family name to do something bad? Don't worry. I never will. I've already changed my surname. Yen. He suddenly interrupted me. His eyes were red. Brother wants to take you back. I didn't understand what Shang Ci was thinking. I was no longer a member of the Shang family. He had announced it himself 4 years ago. And what would I go back for? To continue being Shiheng's punching bag? I also didn't understand why a man of his status insisted on following me back to my tiny, 50 square meter, 1-bedroom apartment. I put Guagua on the bed in the bedroom, went to the cabinet, and took out a box of tea, but then I thought better of it. He probably wouldn't drink such cheap stuff. After a moment's hesitation, I grabbed a bottle of water for him instead. His gaze fell on my right hand, and a bitterness I couldn't decipher flickered across his face. Your fingers. Are they better? I looked down. My right hand's pinky and ring finger were completely immobile. It had happened after Shiheng returned to the Shang family. One time, we went together to tour a Shang family factory. Out of curiosity, he was discussing a mechanical design with an engineer. To test his theory, he pressed the start button on a trial device. At that moment, my hand was resting right there. Before the accident, I had been a rising star in piano performance. It was the only area where I outshone Shiheng. I wasn't as good a student as him, nor as capable. The piano was all I had. When Shiheng first came back to the Shang family, every time I practiced, he would look regretful and say, I've loved music since I was a child. If I hadn't been switched at birth, I would be playing the piano now too. But I could never play on stage again. I couldn't accept it. I was devastated for a long time. I always felt he had done it on purpose. And I couldn't stop myself from hating him for taking away my only brilliance. Then, suddenly, he attempted suicide. After he was saved, I went from being the victim to being the perpetrator. I remember that day. After Shang Ci went to see Shiheng, he came back, pinched his forehead, and said to me, it's just that you can't play the piano anymore. It's just 2 fingers. Do you have to take his life? Even if you're a useless good-for-nothing, even if you're not my real brother, didn't I tell you the Shang family would support you for life? Do you really have to be like this? Shi Wei said coldly, if it weren't for the mix-up at birth, the one who could play the piano would have been Brother Aheng anyway. You're just giving back what you stole. How do you even have the face to make a scene? They all told me my fingers would never heal. No matter how much I fought. It was useless. But later, at the celebration party for the patent on that mechanical design, the same one Shiheng had used to smash my fingers, I overheard the doctor talking to Shang Ci. Back then, I told you the young master's fingers needed to go abroad for rehabilitation immediately. He could have recovered over 90%. You never took him. Now that it's been delayed so long, it's nearly impossible to restore function. Shang Ci said indifferently, it's fine if a yen never plays the piano again. A Heng has wanted to learn since he was little. Seeing a yen unable to play will make him feel more balanced inside. Anyway, I'll support a yen no matter how useless he is. Whether he can play the piano or not. It doesn't matter. So my dream, my future, in his heart, it was just a weight to balance Shi Heng's emotions. When did I start being afraid of him? Probably from that moment. I heard you're teaching music at an institution, he suddenly said now. I froze. I'm just teaching little kids basic music. It's simple, so I can play it without using my ring finger or pinky. I have no intention of returning to the stage to play piano. I would never affect Shi Heng's mood because of me. I just need this job to support my child. And the doctor said my fingers have permanent damage. I'll never be able to play piano well in this lifetime. Even so, you still won't allow it? He froze. A yen. I didn't mean, but whatever he said, I couldn't hear it anymore. The anger from having my life destroyed surged back. I couldn't lose this hard-won job just because Shi Heng might be unhappy. So I frantically showed him my immobile fingers. Really? I can't play. I really can't play. I've given back everything the Shang family gave me. If you don't believe me, come and bend them. They won't move. I was your brother for so many years. Can't you leave me a way out? But he panicked, stood up abruptly, and rushed over to steady my trembling shoulders. A yen, don't be scared. Don't be scared. This time, I'll protect you. Trust your big brother. But how could I not be scared? I had finally rebuilt my life. The life Song Shing had traded with his own for me and Guogua. I pushed him away hard. But after a sleepless night, I was no match for his strength. And in the struggle, my vision suddenly went black. And I collapsed. I dreamed of Song Sheng. He was just as I remembered him. In the courtyard of the guest house at dawn, he was shaving by the water tank, tilting his head to ask me, "Hey, why the long face so early in the morning?" There was a scar on his face, making him look fierce and tough. I felt embarrassed. "Brother Sheng, Guogua's surgery is coming up, and I've run out of money. Can I delay the rent for a few months? As soon as I get paid, I'll pay it back immediately." He burst out laughing. That's all. With a face like that, I thought the world was ending. Brother Sheng has so many houses. I just need people to liven them up. You stay put. Guogua's congenital condition, even if the surgery is successful, you'll need to take good care of him. Don't go out looking for work lately. Don't worry about money. If you run out, isn't your big brother here? At first, he was just my landlord. A retired cop. Forced out early by injury and illness. Later, he became my big brother. Guogua's uncle. He was a completely different kind of brother from Shang Ci. He seemed carefree, but his heart was more delicate than anyone's. Whenever a tenant had trouble, he helped. When I first met him, I was at my lowest, a sick child in my arms. Nowhere to go. Everyone else thought a sick kid like Guogua was bad luck. Only he took us in without a second thought. He could have just ignored me, but he keenly noticed my depression and always found ways to cheer me up. A yen. Look, the swallow kite you and Guogua painted together. It's flying so high. A yen. Have you eaten? I made too many buns today. Come help me eat a few. At first, I thought he was a fool, but unlike Shang Ci's way of just throwing money at problems, when I slipped into old bad habits, he would patiently and gently tell me what was right and what was wrong. And when I found a new job, he was genuinely happy for me, celebrating with a couple of extra beers, only to get scolded by me and stick out his tongue. He taught me confidence and independence. He taught me to choose how I wanted to live. He told me, "A yen, listen to your big brother. No matter what happens, you'll get through it." We were strangers thrown together by fate. 3 people with no blood ties became a family. Until Guogua turned one. A massive earthquake hit Nan City. The earthquake triggered a fire that swept through the entire street where the guest house stood. My leg was crushed, and I couldn't escape. He saved me and Guogua, then resolutely turned back into the flames. Lying on the stretcher, I begged him not to take the risk, but he just smiled at me. "A yen, your big brother is a cop. At a time like this, there's no way I'm not going to save people. Don't worry, I'll definitely come back." He always kept his word, but this time, he broke his promise. He saved more than a dozen people trapped in the fire. He went in one more time, and stayed there forever. I don't even have a single photo with him. He always said the scar on his face was ugly and he didn't like having his picture taken. But he took so many photos of Guagua. 9. I woke up to the sound of voices arguing. The three of us have been searching for him for 4 years. Now that you've found him, you hide it from me. What's that supposed to mean? That voice. Jiangfu. Shiwei's voice followed. What right do you have to see him? Jiangfu. We were once engaged. He loves me. That alone gives me more right than any of you. Engaged? Shangxi's voice was like ice. Don't forget you're now a Heng's fiancé. My 2 younger brothers are not goods for you to pick and choose. Jiangfu raised her voice. Shangxi, do you really think you can control everything? Back then, if you hadn't insisted on punishing a yen, letting everyone bully him until he couldn't stay in Jing City at all, why would he have left? Why did I get engaged to Shiheng? If you two hadn't said a yen pushed Shiheng, how could I have been disappointed in him and agreed to switch marriage partners? Do you think I don't know? Shiheng was nice to me on the surface, but behind my back, he complained that I couldn't have children. He's not even 1/10,000th as good as a yen. You really think it was because of what we said? Shiwei sneered. Jiangfu, aren't you just going with the flow? Dare you say you weren't tired of my brother back then, and had feelings for brother Aheng? Besides, brother Aheng is the true son of the Shang family. Marrying him was the only way you could get your hands on the Shi family shares, wasn't it? Now you suddenly remember how good my brother was. Don't keep calling him my brother. What kind of sister are you to him? Back then, when he came to find you, you deliberately left him waiting in the snow all night. If it weren't for you, how could he have left in despair? Now you're pretending to be the loving sister. Shiwei was indignant. Anyway, I'm the one most qualified to be by his side out of all of us. I'm his brother. I'm the one who's qualified. Shangxi said coldly. I'll take a yen back to the Shang family. He and the child have nothing to do with any of you. Who said you can take him to the Shang family? Shiwei said angrily. What relationship do you have with him? You were the one who personally cut ties with him as brothers. He and I are real siblings. I'm the only one who shares blood with him. Jiangfu said. A snake like you dares to mention real siblings? Back then, he swallowed his pride and begged so many people just so you could perform on stage. When you became famous, the first person you thanked was Shiheng. Did you ever mention his name once? He knew I wanted a daughter, so he adopted the child. We're the real family. Stop arguing. The patient needs rest. Only one immediate family member can stay. The nurse opened the door and came in, looking fierce. I'm his brother. Shangxi said first. I'm his sister. Shiwei quickly added. Mr. Shang. Miss Shi. The nurse paused. You're Mr. Song's brother and sister. An awkward silence fell. I'm his fiancé. Jiangfu said immediately. Then you stay. The nurse said impatiently. You too, both of you, out. 10. When I opened my eyes again, I saw Jiangfu, just as I expected. She was sitting by my bed, staring at me without moving. Her eyes were still full of tears. I used to really love this childhood friend who was my fiancé. Even though she had been diagnosed as infertile very early on, I never gave up on being with her. 4 years ago, when I was discharged from the hospital after having the bandages removed from my fingers, Shangxi and Shiwei were both at Shiheng's place. Only Jiangfu came to me. She was the only one who didn't blame me like they did. A yen, you idiot. I'm here. She was like a lifeline to me, a drowning man. But in the middle of the night, when I was half asleep, I heard her on the phone, her voice gentle. Brother Aheng, you need to cooperate with the doctors, otherwise the scar on your wrist will be bad. Of course I know. You've suffered. A yen is sometimes immature. I woke up almost instantly. I argued with her, asking why she was calling Shiheng behind my back. At first, she tried to calm me down, but soon, impatience crept into her voice. Shang Yan, the world doesn't revolve around you. Why can't you be likable like Shiheng? Besides, if it weren't for the mix-up, he would have been my fiancé. As soon as the words left her mouth, she seemed to realize she had said too much. She tried to come over and hug me, but I pushed her away. We fell into a cold war. Maybe she had long been tired of our stable, decade-long relationship. When Shiheng, who was so different from me, appeared, it was like a stone thrown into the calm surface of a lake, stirring ripples in her heart. Later, when Shiheng falsely accused me of pushing him, she, along with Shangxi and Shiwei, took his side. The disgust of those closest to me only made all of Jing City believe I was a monster, a fake son, taken in by the Shang family out of kindness. But instead of being grateful, I tried to harm the real son. Everyone said, a pheasant is still a pheasant, even if it's raised in a phoenix's nest for so many years. I became a pariah. No matter how many times I called Jiang Fu or sent her messages, she never replied. Until I found her and asked her, in despair, why she didn't believe me either. She was silent for a moment, then said, Shang Yan, you were always jealous of brother Aheng, weren't you? She told me to go and apologize. I was so angry I slammed the door and left. Later, the person Jiang Fu got engaged to became Shiheng. And I, blinded by jealousy and resentment, became less and less like myself. I couldn't understand why Jiang Fu had changed her heart, why Shang Ci didn't believe me, why Shi Wei just didn't like me. I was trapped in a whirlpool of emotions, unable to get out, unable to break free. I almost went down the wrong path. Much later, after I met Song Sheng, I realized I had been suffering from depression for a long time. 11 Jiang Fu just looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. Yan, I'm here. This time, I'm never leaving you again. She gently held my cold hand. What happened in the past? We misunderstood you. Back then, Shiheng fell on his own. It had nothing to do with you. I was blind. I didn't see what a scheming bastard he was. I let out a soft laugh. Jiang Fu, did you try things out with Shiheng, find they didn't work, and then decide to come back to me, your original fiancé? She froze. No, that's not it. I won't marry him. It was only after you left that I realized I'm deeply in love with you. I'll never leave you again. I'll never let them bully you again. Let's go back to Jing City and get married. Let's give Guogua a complete family. I froze. Then the next second, I shot up. Where's my daughter? She quickly held me down. Don't worry, Guogua is in the next room. I looked into her eyes. There was a time when I was completely captivated by these beautiful eyes, loving her to the point of death. Jiang Fu, Guogua is my daughter, and mine alone. She was silent for a moment, then looked up. Yan, I know you resent me. Back then, I was confused for a moment. Later, I realized that what I felt for Shiheng was just pity. What I feel for you is love. But I don't love you. I coldly cut her off. She didn't believe me. You don't love me? If you didn't love me, why would you adopt Guogua just because I once said I wanted a daughter? Yan, don't lie to yourself. You clearly love me so much. I suddenly laughed. Jiang Fu, where do you get the confidence that I'd be devoted to you for life? And where do you get the confidence that, after 4 years, if you just said you missed me, I'd fall to my knees and go with you, grateful and weeping? She froze. Besides, adopting a daughter wasn't because I was still hung up on you. I just wanted a family member. For these 4 years, I've never once thought of you. How is that possible? She grabbed my hand. For 4 years, I've thought of you day and night. Some people said you were dead, and I didn't believe it. I've been searching for you all this time. We were clearly in love, we grew up together. All those years of beautiful memories. Those memories only disgust me now. Her face went deathly pale, and the rims of her eyes reddened even more. You're just saying that in anger. Get lost. I said. Song Xing once told me not to get tangled up with people who had issues. She looked at me in disbelief. What did you say? You weren't like this before. Yeah. The old Shang Yan had loved her, cherished her, given her his whole heart. But I was Song Yan now. Our argument carried beyond the door, and Shang Ci and Shi Wei soon burst into the hospital room. Yan, come back with your brother. I'll keep you safe. Brother, come with me. We're the real family. I stared quietly at the 3 of them. Once upon a time, they had pushed me into the abyss. Now, one by one, they came to offer their pity, asking me to go back with them. My big brother once said something to me. The 3 of them stopped, and in Shang Ci's eyes, a faint glimmer of hope even surfaced. He said I didn't need to rely on anyone to shine brilliantly. Shang Ci's face instantly turned ugly, because he had only ever taught me to indulge in luxury and never said anything like that to me. So put away your savior faces. I, Song Yan, don't need anyone now. 12 in the days that followed, the 3 of them frantically investigated everyone around me with the surname Song. Song Xing's story wasn't a secret. His rescue deeds had made the news. He was a city hero. Every year on his death anniversary, Those he saved would spontaneously visit his grave to pay respects. Wei often came to the neighborhood. I wouldn't let her in, so she'd stand downstairs, leaving many gifts at the door for Guogua and me. Her words became much sweeter, and she even called me brother. Somehow, she found out Guogua liked flying kites and made a swallow-shaped kite to bring me. Shang-Ci also came. When I refused to see him, he sent a nanny and a butler instead, even trying to get me a bigger house. He certainly had money to burn, that was how he used to raise me, but now, I turned it all down. The most persistent was Jiang Fu. She simply moved into the neighborhood. She came every day, trying to get Guogua to call her Mom. After I lost my temper, she finally behaved, but she'd always stand far away, eyes red, watching. Soon, it was Guogua's birthday. She had many friends in the neighborhood and had been looking forward to her 4th birthday party. Shang-Ci, Wei, and Jiang Fu all showed up uninvited. Since the party also included many neighbors and kids I got along with, I didn't want to disappoint Guogua, so I didn't kick the 3 out. It was obvious they were pleasantly surprised. But just as we were about to serve the food, a male voice with a laugh came from the door. Oh, am I late? The faces of the 3 inside instantly darkened. I turned around. It was Shiheng, 13. Shiheng was holding a gift box, dressed in luxury, wearing a custom-made outfit. Uncle, you need to take off your shoes when you come in, Guogua said in her baby voice. Shiheng raised an eyebrow. Oh, little girl, your uncle and your dad are good brothers. The floor tiles in your house aren't worth as much as my shoes, so I don't need to take them off. Right, Shang Yan. For years hadn't passed, he was still just as confrontational. I calmly reminded him, Shiheng, today is my daughter's birthday. I know. He sat down without being asked, grinning with red lips. Otherwise, why would my brother, my sister, and my fiancé all be here at your place? The neighbors were stunned, and the room fell silent. He covered his mouth. His expression exaggerated. Oh, so everyone didn't know yet? Shang Yan. No, now he's changed his name, right? Song Yan. The woman he used a child to latch onto is my fiancé. Some people are just masters of schemes. They occupied the Shang family's young master identity for over 20 years, and even after everything was set right, they still won't let go. They even use a child to try and steal my brother, my sister, and my fiancé. Shiheng, have you lost your mind? Jiang Fu immediately stood up. Who told you to come? Get out. What? Afraid your little secrets will get out? I won't let you say it. Well, I'm going to say it. A guy like him, in ancient times, they'd have put him in a pig cage. Ah Heng, come home with me. Shang-Ci also stood up, grabbing his arm. Stop this. I'm not leaving. He shook himself free, shouting hoarsely, are you even my brother anymore? He's not your real brother. Why are you so good to him? Have you forgotten all the suffering I went through in the past? What exactly are you doing? Wei also stepped forward. Today is Guogua's birthday. We finally managed to. Are all 3 of you insane? He shouted even louder, roaring, I'm your real brother, Shang-Ci. I'm your real fiancé, Jiang Fu. I'm the brother who went through hardships with you, Wei. For over 20 years. Are you 3 being fair to me? Are you being fair to me? Guogua was terrified and looked up at me. I tightly covered her ears and carried her back to the bedroom. 14 Guogua, just stay in the room and wait for Dad to come back. Okay. She nodded. Dad, that uncle was really scary and really ugly. I stroked her hair, got up, and closed the door. In the living room, most of the neighbors had already left. Only Shiheng and the other 3 remained. His meticulously styled hair was a mess, and his eyes, fixed on me, were full of hatred. Song Yan, you think you've won, don't you? You're pretty proud of yourself, making them unable to forget you, always searching for you. I've never seen anyone as shameless as you. A fake. How dare you still contact them? Ah Heng, shut up. Shang-Ci was trembling all over. How long are you going to keep this up? Jiang Fu grabbed his arm. Let's go. Let go of me. He shook off Jiang Fu and pointed at Wei. Away. We've shared hardships as siblings for so many years. You've only known him for a few years. Why are you betraying me too? But Wei just turned her face away. Hengji, you can't have everything. It was you who admitted it to me when you were drunk. You deliberately hurt his hand back then so he couldn't play the piano. You faked a suicide to gain sympathy. And later, to drive him out of the Shang family, you staged that fall down the stairs by hurting yourself. You hate him for stealing your life. But he's innocent too. It's not your fault you were switched at birth. Is it my fault? Am I not innocent? Everything was mine to begin with. I took it back. What's wrong with us returning to our rightful places? He pointed at me. You think he's innocent? He faked his own death on purpose. Adopted a child deliberately, played the victim, he's scheming. He still wants back into the Shang family. He wants to replace me. Why can't you see that? Enough. Are you insane? Shang Xi's voice trembled. If I had known that after everything I've done to make it up to you, you'd still be like this. Back then, I might as well have. Might as well. Not switched back. What did you say? Shi Heng froze. He looked at the other two and laughed out loud. Is that what you think too? He repeated it like a madman. How can you do this to me? How can you? How can you? I stepped forward. So many times in the past. I had lost to him. They always said, Shang Yan, what you have was supposed to be his. He's suffered too much. You need to let him win. But this time, all three of them looked at me nervously. Ian, let me take you and Guogua away first. Shang Ci said worriedly. Don't worry, I'll handle this. I shook my head. I walked up to Shi Heng. Our grudges had to end somehow. I raised my hand. And then, slap. He froze. Hand on his cheek. Staring at me in disbelief. You dare hit me? I said calmly. Shi Heng, the only reason I tolerated you before was because I really did live under your identity for over 20 years. Especially after learning that the Shi family had been destitute all along. That you and Shi Wei had drifted from place to place. I truly felt guilty toward you. I felt I had stolen your identity. Your happiness. But 4 years ago, I already gave everything back. I took your identity. You hurt me. We were even long ago. I pointed at the three of them. And they, your brother, your sister, your fiancé. I never wanted to compete with you for them, and I don't care about them. But coming here today, hurting my daughter, that I cannot forgive. I raised my hand again and punched him in the right cheek. He was knocked sideways. These 2 hits are for my daughter. I don't want to be involved in the 4 of you's grudges anymore. But if you ever dare hurt my daughter again, I will fight you to the death. He stared at me blankly, then suddenly turned his head. Did you see that? He hit me. He bullied me right in front of you. This vicious imposter, and you still like him? He was hysterical. Are you all insane? This is his true face. Silence. You idiots. You'll regret this. He charged out uncontrollably, but stumbled and fell down the stairs. Crash! Followed by his pained groans from below. But this time, the 3 of them didn't move an inch. They just stared straight at me. I sighed. He's hurt. Go to him. But they still didn't move. We're sorry, Ian. We really didn't know he would come. Yeah, we didn't know he would come. It's fine. At least we've said everything that needed to be said. I said calmly. Jiang Fu's face went pale. She reached out to stop me. No, Ian, don't say it. Please. I shook my head and looked at them calmly. I, Song Yan, have no brother from the Shang family, no sister from the Shi family, and no fiancé from the Jiang family. I'm doing well now, much better than before. I don't need your pity, and I don't need your salvation. Your belated guilt or love only brings me trouble and disrupts my life. The only family I have in this life are Guogua and my older brother, Song Sheng. Shang Ci struggled to speak. But Ian, he's already dead. He must have wanted someone to help you. Not for you to struggle alone as a single father. I shook my head. You're wrong. What he taught me was independence. So you can rest assured, I'm not struggling at all. In fact, I'm happier than before. Shi Wei suddenly started crying. But we finally found you. And now you're abandoning us again. I looked out the window at the blue sky. Yeah, this time, it was me abandoning them. 14 I thought I had made myself clear. But the 3 of them still refused to leave. After the birthday party, they kept coming, trying to change my mind and take me back to the capital. Shi Heng didn't come again. This time, he really broke his leg. The neighbors couldn't help but gossip. So I submitted my resignation, planning to take my child and move to another city. The school's principal was reluctant to let me go. Teacher Song, you're young, but you have the highest ratings from parents. Are you sure you won't reconsider? I shook my head. I'm already grateful that the principal gave me, someone with a disabled right hand, a chance back then. But for my daughter, I have to change environments. He thought for a moment, then suddenly asked me, do you want to go to Haicheng? It's by the sea, with a mild climate, kids love it. I'm planning to open a branch there. Would you be willing to be the teaching director? After all, talent like yours, I really hate to lose it. I agreed. The day before I left, Shang Ci came to see me. Ian, you don't have to move cities just to avoid us. I smiled and asked him, then can you stop showing up in front of me? He was silent for a long time, then lowered his head painfully. If your brother still wants to do something for you, would you accept it? I held Guoguo's hand and smiled softly. Thank you, Mr. Shang. But there's no need. Guoguo looked up. Uncle, do you have anything else? We're going to see our uncle. His face stiffened. Yes. We were going to visit Song Sheng's grave. I brought several brands of beer and sat in front of the grave for a long time. I told him I was moving to Haicheng, that I was making progress little by little, that my work was gaining recognition, and that I was taking good care of Guoguo. He would definitely be proud of me. And now, he could finally drink without restraint, no longer worrying about his illness getting worse. The next day, I took Guoguo to the airport. On the big screen in the airport, I saw an interview with Shiwei. The person I want to thank the most is my biological brother. Back when I was a raw singer with no company willing to sign me, it was my brother who kept helping and encouraging me, leading to where I am today. But later, I treated him badly. I want to say to him, I'm sorry. Guoguo pointed at Shiwei. Daddy, that's the auntie who looks a bit like you. I patted her head. Let's board the plane. After arriving in Haicheng, my life got back on track. I worked hard, lived hard, and half a year later, I was promoted to branch principal. Because the students liked me, they posted some of my teaching clips online, and videos of my performances from many years ago were dug up. Some people were curious why I no longer played the piano, and somehow, news broke about how Shiheng had ruined my ability to play back then. For a time, the name Shiheng became synonymous with malice online, and he was completely cast out from the entire social circle of the capital. The company's stock suffered, taking heavy losses. Someone also dug up Shiwei's earlier apology video and revealed that I was the biological brother she had mentioned. The public was left in shock, and Shiwei announced she was stepping away from the music scene due to poor mental state. A year later, I led my students onto the stage of an international competition and became a renowned music mentor. It was true that I could no longer play complex compositions, but that didn't stop me from shining in another way. Jiang Fu still came around often. She would leave gifts for Guoguo at the door and then watch me and my daughter from a distance. I found it annoying, but since she didn't disrupt our lives, I couldn't be bothered to chase her away. One day, I saw Shang Ci again. He looked much older. He handed me a key. I know you've been saving up to restore Songsheng's courtyard. I've already rebuilt it. Don't refuse. Think of it as your brother making it up to you. You like it there, so go back and visit often. And, he hesitated, the marriage alliance between the Jiang and Shang families has been officially called off. Jiang Fu didn't get the shares. You know her eldest brother has never liked her. She has no skills, and she'll probably end up in a bad place. I've sent Shiheng away. In his current state, he needs long-term inpatient psychological treatment. I've restored your room to how it used to be. If you ever want to come home, you're welcome anytime. I shook my head. Thank you for restoring my brother's courtyard. But as for the Shang family, I won't be going back. He didn't insist, only said softly, your room will always be kept for you. During the summer break, I took Guoguo back to Nanchur and went to Songsheng's courtyard. Standing at the gate, time seemed to rewind to 5 years ago. An ordinary morning, under the jujube tree in the courtyard, Songsheng held up the painted kite and said with a smile, try it, Ian, as long as you believe. It will fly high. And now, I had indeed flown high. I picked up Guoguo and gently pushed open that door. Brother, I'm home. The end.